Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be talking you through my action research project, which dealt with the effect of reading deficits on written expression. To begin, I looked at various research articles to try to develop my problem in my classroom, and what I came down to was that reading clearly plays a critical role in the classroom. Um, According to Nippold, at the high school level, for example, adolescents are expected to read, analyze, and discuss challenging materials in classes such as biology, chemistry, civics, economics, health, history, mathematics, and physics. And this is just all across the spectrum, not just in my class and my role as an English teacher. So clearly, reading is a crucial skill. Not only that, but according to the Common Core state standards, writing is also a crucial skill where students are asked to produce clear and coherent writing in which the development, organization, and style are appropriate to task, purpose, and audience. So the purpose of this study was to examine the effects of student reading comprehension that it has on their written performance, as well as to determine how direct instruction can improve reading comprehension deficits. My problem statement states that students' reading comprehension and ability to analyze a text has a direct effect on written performance, and there is a lack of direct instruction to help students develop the reading tools they need to be successful, which I'll discuss a little bit more extensively in the literature review. The research question I developed for this particular action research was how often are students reading outside of class? And does in-class reading, so read alouds, choral reading, audiobooks, etc., lead to increased reading comprehension? What effect does direct instruction have on reading comprehension? Do collaborative classroom activities help students better comprehend a text? And finally, to what extent do reading comprehension deficits affect performance on written assessments? Getting into the literature review, I broke it down into three sections, and the first talks about the quantitative data regarding reading deficits. And Clemens et al. 2017 states that 96% of students in their study groups demonstrated difficulties in areas specifically regarding to fluency. The number of students with below average skills in reading fluency represented 80% of the students. And this was done both with students with reading deficits as well as just average students, which demonstrates to me that this is more clearly a problem than many students or teachers might initially anticipate. And realistically, there's not too much being done to narrow the gap at the high school level. The next section of literature review talks about the lack of instructional study. And I used a couple different researchers here. The first comes from Vaughn et al. 2014, where secondary students who have struggled to read for many years are likely to require more extensive reading interventions. And again, this gets into the idea that high schools do not necessarily go into that extensive reading intervention that most students need. And then finally, with Ness, in 2,400 minutes of direct classroom observation, only a total of 82 minutes, so 3%, was reading comprehension instruction. Again, getting into that idea that it's kind of expected at the high school level that these students have these reading comprehension skills, and really that's really not the case. And teachers often feel not qualified or not responsible in providing the explicit instruction students need. Finally, I talked about effective instructional strategies. And really what it boiled down to from, again, Vaughn et al., this was a 2015 study that the same group had done, that students with disabilities in a treatment group, which was more direct instruction on vocabulary and fluency, scored significantly higher than students in the comparison group. So this research really helped me kind of narrow in on my problem and come up with some effective ways to uh, potentially solve these problems. In terms of my research and methodology design, I put my students into two focus groups, or I chose two separate classes rather. The first group was my control group, which was a regular English class, and they did not have any change to their instruction. So there was mostly collaborative small group instruction. Whereas the second group was a co-taught English class with a various mix of students with IEPs, 504s, and then average students, and they were the experimental group where there was more implementation of direct instruction in vocabulary, annotation skills, reading comprehension strategies, etc. In order to collect data for this particular action research project, I used a survey in Google Forms, I used reading comprehension quiz, and I used an in-class essay writing assessment at the end of the unit. After gathering the data, it posed some pretty clear things. To begin with the survey, I found that in the control group, 75% of my students had read, and 66% in the experimental group had read. And really, the survey just asked students, to be honest, if they read or did not read. And because of this, because there were, a certain percentage of students in each class that did not read, I could not include those in the remainder of the data because it just seemed, not inclusive because they would not have read and been able to score well. On the quiz, as you can see, the average score for the control group was 70%, while the experimental group was a 90% average score, and that was the group that had the direct instruction. And similarly on the essay, again, average score in the control group, 70% and 80% average score on the experimental group. So clearly there was some correlation between um, the direct instruction and success on those assessments. According to the data analysis here, we've got 25% and 34% of students in both groups did not read. I want to know what factors caused this percentage, so maybe that's a different action research project. Students in the control group scored less on the quiz and essay, and that's kind of for both of those data sets. And finally, students who received direct instruction on reading comprehension scored higher than students who did not receive that direct instruction. So again, I noticed that there was that correlation. After looking at my data sets and analyzing the data, I put together my force field analysis. And some of the goals that I really wanted to come up with here was one, I wanted to increase my overall percentage of students reading to 100%. And I think that the incorporation of more read alouds and choral reading and just giving them time in class to read as opposed to outside of class will help that tremendously. And then for my other two goals, I wanted to increase student scores on reading comprehension and written performance by at least 10% throughout the next couple weeks of my course as we get through Unit 2. Some of the driving forces that I found for this particular project was time, and that was just giving them the time. That's a good driving force that they have the time in class to read, or we go through that together. And then more of the focus on direct instruction strategies for vocabulary as well as specific writing skills, I think, is also something that needs to be directly stated. So those are some good driving forces. Looking at some restraining forces, time again is clearly a factor because we cannot control the amount of time that we have. We have to use it very wisely, so that is always a restraining factor. Finally, students will have to read some of those things outside of class, despite how much effort we put in class. And finally, there are going to be individuals who have higher levels of reading comprehension and writing skills, so that kind of goes into the time thing, working with each of those individual students. Some of the potential evaluation sources, again, I stated utilizing those read alouds and choral readings and audiobooks in the classroom settings. I really liked the actual methodology of my action research here with the Google Form survey to collect qualitative data, and then obviously the same comprehension quiz and essay to assess how they're increasing and whether or not I can get to that 10% goal. So some of the conclusions that I drew from this project were some level of correlation between reading comprehension and writing. I put not causation here in bold because it's important to note that it's clearly a correlation that the students with direct instruction scored better than the control group. However, there are many other factors that could have potentially gone into that, which I did not look into very seriously in this particular project. Finally, more direct instruction had a significant impact on student performance, so I can change my plan in the control group to include more exclusive direct instruction. As I reflect on my action research, I came up with a couple different positive things here because this was ultimately a positive experience where I learned about my classroom environment and how I can foster change. And then just one potential drawback. So getting into that, collecting student data, identifying a specific problem, identifying possible solutions, and then student and teacher growth. Those were all positives in my book. And this has become part of my daily routine in terms of just reflecting on my classroom setting every day, and using that data and identifying problems to really foster student growth and my own growth as a professional. As I stated in my limiting factors in my force field analysis, time is always a problem. So just trying to always be cognizant of time and, you know, not always letting it drive everything, but at the same time understanding that there are various skills and days that we have to get through. So overall, this was a very positive experience, and I look forward to using it continually for the rest of my teaching career. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.